Lonely CEO's incredible transformation. Little girl's heartwarming plea for a daddy, exposed. In the fast-paced world of Silicon Valley, where success is measured in profits and prestige, Jake Thompson stood tall, an icon of achievement. The CEO of a leading tech firm, he commanded respect in the boardroom, yet behind closed doors, he grappled with a haunting emptiness. His marriage had crumbled, leaving him alone in a sleek penthouse filled with nothing but cold gadgets and stark modern art. As he pored over financial reports one evening, he stumbled upon an old photo of his daughter, her laughter frozen in time. A pang of regret tightened his chest. He felt the weight of unfulfilled love and a longing for connection that success couldn't fill. One fateful Tuesday, while attending a community outreach event, Jake found himself amidst a playground pulsating with life. Children darted across the field, laughter mingling with the afternoon sun. That's when he met Mia, a bubbly 8-year-old with curly blonde hair and sparkling blue eyes. She eyed Jake with innocent curiosity, her voice tinkling like a bell as she asked, "Will you come to our father-daughter dance?" The question struck a chord deep within him, reverberating against the armor he had built around his heart. Caught off guard, Jake felt a flutter of something he hadn't felt in years, a spark of hope. Over the weeks, Jake began attending Mia's school events. Each time he stepped onto that playground, he felt wrapped in the warmth of fatherly love that had eluded him for so long. The smell of fresh-cut grass, the sound of children's joyous screams, it all felt like a breath of fresh air. He began to share moments with Mia, stories that melted the years of solitude away. With every infectious giggle and heartfelt hug, the shadows of his lonely penthouse drifted further into the background. Yet looming behind him, the demands of his empire pulsed like a relentless drumbeat, tugging him back to the world where ambition reigned. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Jake began to embrace this new chapter, the unthinkable happened. Mia's estranged father resurfaced, seeking custody. His heart thudded loudly in his chest, the news hitting him like a freight train. All of a sudden, the newfound joys of being a father stood on shaky ground. Torn between his corporate duties and the love Mia offered, Jake felt a tempest brewing inside him. Could he let go of his high-flying life to dive into a world of nurturing? As he faced the uncertainty ahead, a powerful question loomed. Could he redefine his understanding of success? Could he finally embrace the role of the father Mia needed him to be? The storm raged, leaving him hanging in the balance, desperate for an answer. The air was thick with tension as Jake sat at his desk, the bright screens of the boardroom casting a sharp glow on the faces of his executives. They discussed quarterly projections, future investments, the relentless drive of the corporate world that practically throbbed in his veins. Yet all he could think about was the soft laughter of Mia, the way her curls bounced as she spun in delight during their last playground visit. The thought of her father's return hung over him like a dark cloud, overshadowing everything. "Jake?" His COO's voice broke through his reverie. "Are you with us?" He blinked, shifting his focus to the room around him. Everyone's eyes were on him, waiting for his input. Jake felt a rush of anxiety. "Yeah, I'm here," he mumbled, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. How could he think about numbers when a little girl's heart was at stake? He felt torn, stretched thin between the world of profits and a world where love mattered more than any share price. The mention of meetings and targets faded, overtaken by thoughts of the upcoming father-daughter dance Mia so eagerly anticipated. She had mentioned it with bright eyes and an infectious giggle, as if it held the key to all happiness. After the meeting, Jake found himself staring out the window. The city sprawled beneath him like a vast, cold landscape. He was successful, yes, but happiness felt like a distant shore he had long lost sight of. The idea of Mia's father disrupting the bond they had begun to form gnawed at him. What if he swept in and took her away? The feeling of impotence was unbearable. Days rolled on, and each evening Jake forced himself to attend Mia's school events. They painted together, laughed at silly stories, and shared chocolate chip cookies that stuck to their fingers. The bond that formed between them grew deeper, wrapping around Jake's heart like a warm blanket. But with each laugh, the shadows of haunting uncertainty loomed larger. One afternoon, as they walked hand in hand down sun-drenched park paths, Mia turned to him with her big blue eyes shining. "You're going to be my dad for the dance, right?" The question hit him hard. How could he promise her something when everything was so precarious? He opened his mouth to answer, but the words caught in his throat. A mix of emotions surged through him: hope, fear, love, and pain swirled together into a tempest he couldn't ignore. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Jake made a decision. He had to fight for Mia. This little girl deserved more than fleeting moments of joy. She needed stability, and perhaps he needed her just as much. He would speak to her father, face whatever storm was coming. But what if the confrontation ended with him losing Mia forever? Resolved, Jake took a deep breath as he prepared himself for the hardest conversation of his life. As he dialed the number, his heart raced. The sound of ringing echoed, bouncing off the walls of his sleek office. What am I about to do? The question lingered in the air, heavy with consequence. And just when he thought he was ready, the line connected. "Hello?" A gruff voice answered. Jake swallowed hard, steeling himself for the battle ahead. "It's Jake Thompson. We need to talk about Mia." What would happen next? Would he find the courage to protect the little girl who had unknowingly changed his life? Or would he find himself on the edge of losing everything? The storm was brewing, and Jake was right in the eye of it. Jake's heart thudded in his chest, his palms clammy against the cool surface of his desk. Each second that ticked by felt like an eternity as he waited for a response. The silence on the other end was heavy, pressing down like a weight. Finally, the voice returned, this time softer, but still laced with uncertainty. "What do you want to talk about, Jake?" The tension was palpable, revealing the thin ice they both stood upon. "I want to talk about Mia." His voice was steady, surprising even himself. "She deserves to know where she stands, especially with the father-daughter dance coming up." An exhale from the other side hinted at a mix of emotions. "Why do you care, man? You're not her father, you're just some guy she met at the playground." That stung. But Jake pressed on, his resolve strengthening. "It's more than that. I'm not just some guy. I care about her. She is a bright spot in my life, and I want to make sure she is happy and feels secure." Security? What do you know about being a father? The words dripped with skepticism and a hint of anger, which only fueled Jake's determination. "I may not be her biological father, but that doesn't make the bond we have any less real. I want her to have the love and support she needs. Don't you want that too?" The line went quiet again, the sound of heavy breathing filling the void. Jake imagined the man on the other end weighing each word, perhaps even considering the consequences of his absence. "Look," Jake said, desperate for connection, "I understand you want to come back into her life, but I don't want her to feel like she has to choose. She deserves both of us, together in whatever way that looks like." "Together?" The voice scoffed, but there was a trembling hint of interest. "You think it's that simple?" "No, I don't. But I'm willing to try. For her. She needs us both in her corner." Jake felt the words burst from him, fueled by the love he had for that little girl. "If you care about her half as much as I do, then let us find a way to make this work." Silence lingered, and Jake held his breath, praying his words had reached the man. Just as he thought the call would end, the voice returned, softer, uncertain. "I don't know, Jake. I'm not the same guy I was when I left, neither am I," Jake said, the truth forming in his heart. "But everyone deserves a chance to start fresh. You have a chance to be a better father." A long pause followed. The tension cracked slightly, like the first rays of dawn breaking through a relentless night. Finally, the father spoke. "You willing to meet? Talk this through face to face?" "Yes," Jake replied, the word bursting forth with a power he hadn't felt until that moment. "I'd like that." As he hung up, Jake felt as if he'd stepped off a precipice into uncharted territory. The fear of losing Mia and the thrill of fighting for her battled within. He could no longer ignore the emotions swirling through him. The concert of laughter, tears, and gritty determination began to play a complex melody in his heart. That evening, as he tucked Mia in for the night, a gentle knock on the door caught his attention. It was her teacher, a warm smile on her face. "Just checking in," Jake. I heard about your call. The father-daughter dance is an important night for her. He nodded, mindful of Mia's sleeping figure. I know. I want to be there for her no matter what. Good. Remember, she is perceptive. Whatever happens, your presence means everything. As the teacher left, Jake realized the weight of her words. He was stepping into an arena not just to fight for himself, but for a little girl who only wanted love and joy. The next day, he sat outside a cafe, waiting for Mia's father, the sun shining brightly but shadows of doubt still curling at the edges of his mind. He needed to be ready for anything. Would they find common ground and navigate this new family dynamic together? Or would their differences spiral out of control in a way that hurt the one person they both loved the most? The air crackled with possibilities, and Jake braced himself for what was to come. As footsteps approached, he steadied his heart, the real battle just beginning. The cafe buzzed with the sounds of chatter and clinking cups, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling inside Jake's mind. He tapped his fingers anxiously against the table, the sunlight casting warm patches all over the scattered sugar packets and flecks of spilled coffee. Each passing minute felt like another wave crashing against him, leaving him feeling more adrift. Then he spotted a figure approaching from the parking lot. Mia's father, Dan. Jake took a deep breath, tugging at his shirt nervously. The man's gait was hesitant, his shoulders hunched slightly, hands shoved deep in pockets. Just like that, the battle lines were drawn. Jake's heart raced at the sight. This was both the moment he had anxiously awaited and dreaded. Jake! Dan's voice was low, cautious, almost as if he feared the very air around them. The doubt in his eyes made Jake's stomach twist. Yeah, that's me, Jake replied, trying to sound calm, steady. Thanks for coming. Dan nodded, but his eyes darted around, as if searching for an escape route. They settled at a small table in the back, away from the crowd, yet exposed to the sunlight filtering in through the windows. Jake watched as Dan took a long moment before he met his gaze. Vulnerability etched across his face. I know this is different, Jake started, fumbling for the right words. I really appreciate you being here. Mia, she cares about you. The mention of Mia brought a flicker of something softer across Dan's face. She said you talked to her a lot, Dan mumbled. There was a certain longing mixed with caution in his tone. She needs a father figure more than you know, Jake replied, leaning in a bit. I just want to see her happy. I think we can both give her that. Do you? Dan's eyes clouded. You think just because you took her to the park or played dress-up, you can fill that role? It's not that simple. Jake felt a surge of frustration, but fought it down. I know it's not simple. It might never be. But I'm willing to try. Are you? For a brief moment, silence enveloped them. The distant laughter and chattering patrons became background noise to the pivotal conversation unfolding between them. Jake could see conflict in Dan's eyes, the wrestling of old regrets and the glimmer of hope for a future he might have never expected. Why now? Dan asked finally, his voice cracking slightly. Why do you even care? It's not just about you or me, Jake urged, leaning forward more, grounding himself in this moment. It's about Mia. She deserves to know her father cares no matter how messy that looks. I don't want to disappoint her again, Dan confessed, the admission hanging heavily in the air. I'm scared. Jake felt his pulse quicken. We're all scared, Dan. But think about what she'll feel if she sees us trying. The father-daughter dance is coming up. Wouldn't it be amazing for her to have both of us there? Dan's brow furrowed. You think it would work? I didn't bring her any gifts. I missed so many moments she might not even want to see me. She does, Jake said, holding his gaze steady. She needs to feel that love from both of her fathers, even if we don't fit into the traditional mold. We can redefine what family looks like for her. As they spoke, the cafe began to fade, the sounds ebbing away until it felt like just the two of them in their bubble. Dan's walls showed cracks, and Jake could see the struggle to reconcile a father's heart with the man he had temporarily become. Okay, Dan said finally, the resolution creeping into his voice. Let us give it a shot. But please, don't think I'm ready to just jump back in. Jake nodded, relief mixed with determination flooding through him. They had a long way to go, but in that moment, he felt the possibility flicker like a candle amidst the darkness. As they stood to leave, a glimmer of hope emerged. We'll take it slow, Jake assured him as they stepped outside into the bright sunlight. Mia deserves a dad she can rely on. But just as Jake turned to speak, Dan hesitated, his expression darkening. There's something I need to tell you. It might change everything between us. Jake's heart sank at the implication. What new complication could loom on the horizon? The air thickened with anticipation as they began to walk away from the cafe, both knowing the road ahead could face them with even greater trials. Jake's heart hammered in his chest as he felt the weight of Dan's words linger between them. The sunlight that had felt so warm just moments ago suddenly turned sharp, catching on his nerves. The hopeful shield he had built around himself now showed signs of cracking. What do you mean? Jake asked, urgency creeping into his voice. He wanted to press for answers, but feared what they might be. Dan took a deep breath, and Jake could see the tremor in his hands as he finally pulled them from his pockets. I haven't been honest, not just with you, but with Mia too. There's a reason I was away. Fear loomed in the pit of Jake's stomach. He could feel the air grow heavy as he waited for Dan's confession. I lost my job, Dan admitted, the words barely a whisper, yet resonating loud and clear. It's been months now. I've been scared to face Mia like this. What kind of father can't provide for his kid? Jake felt a rush of sympathy wash over him. He imagined Mia, with her bright laughter and innocent questions, unaware of the storm brewing in her father's life. You don't have to prove anything to her, Jake said softly. Mia loves you for who you are, not what you can give her. But what if she finds out? Dan's voice choked up. What if she sees me as a failure? I can't disappoint her again. I can't. Jake stepped closer, feeling the need to reach out, to keep Dan grounded. Then you show her that you're trying. You don't have to be perfect, just there. Dan shook his head, looking away. You don't understand. It's not that simple. I don't even know how to be around her anymore. I feel like a stranger in my own family. That's it. Right there, Jake responded, hoping to break through. You are not a stranger, Dan. You are her father. You show up. You try. That's what counts. For a moment, Dan's gaze flickered with uncertainty, and Jake seized the chance. Take it step by step. The dance. Let us plan it together. Use it as a first step. You can even ask her what flowers she likes best. You'll be surprised. Just being there is enough. She'll give you a chance. Dan's eyes glistened with unshed tears, vulnerability spilling over the edges of his hardened exterior. Slowly, he seemed to soften, heart battling mind in a silent wrestling match. What if she sees through my act? What if? Stop, Jake interrupted firmly. No more what ifs. We're going to focus on the here and now. This is your chance to change things, Dan. Not just for you, but for her. Nodding slightly, Dan's shoulders dropped an inch, as if a weight was being lifted. I'm terrified, he confessed. But I want to try. Then let us do it together, Jake said, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. We'll make sure Mia feels loved on that dance floor, with both her fathers right by her side. Just then, a little voice rang out, bright and innocent amidst the seriousness of their conversation. Daddy. Mia's small figure emerged from the parking lot, sunlight illuminating her youthful glow. She bounded over, her pigtails bouncing with each step. Jake's heart swelled as he saw how her face lit up, unaware of the heavy truths that had just unfolded. Dan's expression shifted from dread to something pure and beautiful love. But just as they embraced her, Mia pulled back, her expression shifting into one of seriousness. Dad, why do I feel like I need to choose between you both? Jake exchanged glances with Dan, and in that weighty moment, they realized that this was just the beginning of a much larger journey ahead. How could they possibly navigate this new world of shared love and looming uncertainties? As they stood there, with Mia looking between them, the air hummed with new challenges to face ones they hadn't yet anticipated. Would they rise to meet them? The sunlight filtered down, casting a warm glow around Mia as she stood between her father and Jake, her innocent question hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Jake's heart sank at the uncertainty in her wide eyes. He wanted nothing more than to shield her from the complexities of adulthood. Dan knelt to meet Mia at her level, desperation etched across his face. Mia, you don't have to choose, he said, his voice choked with emotion. We both love you so much. But it feels like it's not fair, Mia replied, her voice small. Sometimes I just want to be with you both, and it's confusing. A lump formed in Jake's throat as he watched the scene unfold. He could see the weight of the world pressing down on Dan. But more than that, he saw a burning desire to be the dad Mia needed. Mia, Jake interjected gently, hoping to soothe her worries. What if we make a deal? Her eyes sparked with curiosity. A deal? Yeah. What if we all promise to be together for you? Like a team? Jake smiled, feeling something within him blossom. Whenever you have something special, like your dance, we'll both be there. You'll never have to choose. Mia's brows furrowed as she contemplated the idea. After a moment, she nodded. I like that. Teams win together. Dan's smile broke through his dread, illuminating his face with renewed strength. Exactly. No one gets left behind. We can figure this out together. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Mia's forehead. You can have both of us in your life. We just need to work together. But what if you two don't get along? Mia asked, her expression shifting to concern. Jake and Dan exchanged a knowing glance, acknowledging the road yet to be traveled. We will, Jake reassured her. We're family. Families work through hard things. I hope you're right, Mia replied, her voice a blend of hope and uncertainty. Jake's stomach twisted with a sense of urgency. We will be, Mia. I promise. The words were easy to say, but in that moment, Jake understood the weight of the promise he was making. As Dan straightened up, he took a deep breath and looked at Mia. Let us start by making some plans for that dance. We can pick out flowers and figure out a song. What do you think about that? Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. Yes, I want flowers that smell pretty. Dan chuckled, and Jake felt a warmth spread through him at the sight of the little girl bouncing with joy. Okay, let us get to work, Jake said, his heart feeling lighter. Together, they walked toward Dan's car, laughter bubbling between them as Mia began listing the flowers she wanted to see. But as they drove off, a heaviness lingered in Jake's heart. Could they really keep this unity amidst their flaws, their pasts? Would they be able to sort through their emotions, each of them finding their place? After a few blocks, Mia's voice turned serious. What if the dance doesn't go well? What if I trip? Dan's hand tightened around the steering wheel, and Jake felt the familiar pang of uncertainty settle back in. What if we make it an adventure? He suggested. We celebrate every moment, even the messy ones. It's the laughter that matters most. Mia nodded vigorously. As they continued through the town, Jake caught Dan's eye in the rearview mirror. There was something unspoken between them, a promise, a pact to figure this out, no matter how tough it got. This wasn't just about the dance. It was the beginning of something larger than them all. The truth loomed, and Jake wondered if they could really bridge the gaps in their lives. It was one little girl's heartfelt plea that had sparked this journey. Would their courage hold strong when the unexpected unfolded? As they pulled into a bakery for a treat, both fathers knowing they had to face the dance and their families head on, an echo of Mia's earlier question lingered. Would they rise together, or would fear pull them apart? The future awaited them, unknown and daunting, but it was an adventure worth embracing. Little did they know, the dance would bring more than just songs and flowers. It would unveil secrets that shook their foundation. The sweet smell of baked goods filled the air as they stepped into the bakery. Mia's eyes lit up at the sight of colorful pastries lining the glass cases. She tugged on Dan's sleeve, practically bouncing with anticipation. Can we have cupcakes? Pretty ones. Dan laughed, his earlier anxiety fading into the warmth of the moment. Only if you help pick them out. Jake followed close behind, glancing around the cozy space. It was the kind of place where laughter rang out and families gathered. He felt a flutter of hope. Maybe this could be their new normal. Mia's tiny footsteps pattered across the tiled floor as she made her way to the display. Look, that one has sparkles, she exclaimed, pointing to a pink frosted cupcake topped with glittery sprinkles. Sparkles it is, Jake said with a smile. Let us get a dozen. One for each of us, and maybe a few for our friends. Dan raised an eyebrow. Friends? Who did you have in mind? Oh, maybe some of the kids from the dance class. Mia spun around, her imagination running wild. We can have a little party after the dance. That is a great idea, Mia. Jake agreed, feeling a surge of pride. As they made their selections, the mood shifted, and a sense of unity began to gel. Jake caught Dan's gaze again, and something shifted inside him, a shared understanding that they were both in this together, struggling to redefine family. With a box of brightly decorated cupcakes in tow, they walked back to the car, Mia bubbling over with ideas for her upcoming dance. If it rains, we can dance in the living room. We could make up a routine. Jake felt a rush of laughter at the thought. I love that idea. And if you trip, we can always say it was part of the routine. Mia giggled, and in that moment, the tension of earlier slipped away. They piled into the car, and Dan turned to face them, his voice steady. So, we need to make sure this dance is as special as you want it, Mia. Why don't we go over the song choices? In the back seat, Mia clapped her hands together. Ooh, I want the song with the animals, the one with the big lion. The lion song was her favorite from a recent movie, and Jake felt a spark of joy at her enthusiasm. All right, I think I know the one you mean, Dan said, pulling out his phone to look it up. Let us hear it. As they played the song, Mia began to sway, her small body dancing along to the rhythm. It was contagious. Jake found himself tapping his foot, the earlier doubts fading further into the background. Dan hummed along, and for a moment, they were simply a family, enjoying each other's presence. Yet, beneath the surface, there were unspoken things, like the enormous weight of the dance looming over them. The thought of the secret they were yet to confront gnawed at Jake. What had they hidden in their pasts that could resurface and disrupt this moment? After the song ended, Mia's excitement was palpable. What if we have a dance-off at the party? Everyone can join in. Dan and Jake exchanged a smile, but the worry was still there, lurking like a shadow. Great idea, Jake said, encouraging her. But let us make one rule. No matter what happens, we celebrate each other's moves, especially if someone trips. The laughter that followed filled the car, but it was tinged with the knowledge that they were balancing on a tightrope. Disappointment loomed close. As they pulled into Mia's South favorite park to wind down, the air was charged with possibilities. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows on the ground, and Jake felt a tightening in his chest. Just as they stepped out, Mia paused and looked up. What if this dance is everything I hope it will be? What if it's not? Her question hung in the air like the last ray of sunlight before dusk. Jake's heart raced again, knowing that they might not be ready for what lay ahead. Would they be able to handle the weight of both joy and fear as they ventured into the unknown? And with that, the future shifted again, more uncertain than ever, leaving Jake wondering. What secrets were waiting to be uncovered as the dance approached, and would they be strong enough to face them together? Mia ran ahead, her laughter ringing like chimes in the park air. Jake and Dan trailed behind, exchanging glances heavy with unsaid words. The afternoon sun cast a golden glow, but the warmth didn't quite reach the corners of Jake's mind, where worries lingered. Come on, slowpokes, Mia shouted, spinning in circles, arms wide like she could embrace the whole world. Her joy was infectious, capturing every passerby's eyes as they smiled at the scene. But Jake felt the smile falter on his lips as he considered Mia's question, the weight of it pressing down as they crossed the grassy expanse. What if? Those two words twisted like vines, wrapping around Jake's thoughts. He wanted so much for her to be happy, for this dance to be everything she dreamed of. But he couldn't ignore the storm brewing in their hearts, the secrets that flickered just beneath the surface. They could celebrate Mia's victory all day long, but would they be there to support her fight against her fears? Let us sit for a bit, Dan suggested, breaking Jake's spiraling thoughts. They settled onto a bench under the sprawling branches of an oak tree, its shade a cool comfort against the warm breeze. Mia plopped down beside them, a bundle of energy woven into the branches of excitement. Can we practice our dance moves here? Right now? She asked, bouncing eagerly. Sure, but remember what we said. Jake cautioned, his voice gentle. No taking anyone down if they mess up. She giggled, eyes sparkling with mischief. Okay, but I'll be the one who is the best. She jumped up, her little legs already moving to the melody still playing in her head, an unyielding rhythm guiding her. Jake watched her dance, her spirit so alive it was almost heartbreaking. How could life be so simple for her? Each twirl and sway clawed at his heart. He wished he could keep her in this moment forever, shielded from the complexities that surrounded them. What if we did have fun, and then something went wrong? Jake murmured, almost to himself. Dan sighed, his focus still on Mia. We can't let fear own us, Jake. Maybe the dance is just a dance, but what it represents it means so much more. The weight of Dan's words hung in the air, and Jake felt a flutter of hope. But what if she knows something we don't? Jake replied, the worry creeping back in. What if all this happiness is just the setup for a fall? Dan met his gaze, eyes filled with understanding. We can't control the future, but we can make sure she knows we're here for her now. Mia bounced back to them, her cheeks flushed from dancing. Let us take a selfie for our dance party. A picture to remember our moves. She held up her phone, catching their expressions in her frame. Jake forced a smile, and Dan joined in, both battling their lingering doubts. The camera clicked, and as she giggled at her own little dance moves captured, Jake felt a swell of emotion, mixed with unease. Would these moments be enough to support her in whatever was to come? What is the first thing we'll do at the party? Mia asked, her voice bright and oblivious. Eat cupcakes, Dan answered, playfully nudging her. Then we dance, Mia exclaimed with pure delight. The innocence in her voice tugged at Jake's heartstrings. But beneath that joy, Jake felt shadows gather. He caught Dan's eye, and for a moment, they both understood all too well the winds of change swirling around them. Just as Mia began to demonstrate a new series of exaggerated moves, her laughter ringing clear, Jake's thoughts spiraled back. They had come so far into this new dynamic, but the impending truth loomed like dark clouds on a sunny day. What happens when the music stops? He thought, dread sinking in. Mia paused, tilting her head, catching her breath. I want the dance to be perfect, she declared, her innocent hope piercing through Jake's worry. Dan shifted, leaning closer to Jake, determination brewing in his eyes. Then let us make this perfect, together, no matter what comes next. But as Mia choreographed her next big move, a chilling question lingered in the air. Could they truly face whatever darkness lay ahead? Just how deep did their secrets run, and would the dance bring them together or tear them apart? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the park. Mia twirled again, her energy unyielding, but Jake felt time stretch oddly, like the moments were slipping like grains of sand through his fingers. Just then, Dan nudged him gently, as if trying to anchor him to the present. Come on, let us join her, Dan said, standing up with a reassuring smile. She needs us for her moves. With reluctance, Jake rose from the bench, feeling the pull of Mia's exuberance seep into him. He couldn't let fear keep him frozen. It wouldn't be fair to her. They joined her in a loose circle, laughing as Mia demonstrated a series of exaggerated steps, her small body a whirlwind of joy. Like this, Mia shouted, showcasing a hip sway that made them chuckle. Jake followed her lead, mimicking her movements with an awkward grace. He could feel the weight of his worries still pressing down, but there was something about Mia's dance that felt like a lifeline. For those few minutes, he tried to push all thoughts of lurking fears to the sidelines, focusing instead on her vibrant spirit. See, you're both natural dancers, Mia squealed, clapping with delight. Definitely better than you, Dan joked, trying to juggle his own balance, which made Mia squeal even more with laughter. The sheer weight of their shared joy began to dissolve some of Jake's anxiety. He felt the warmth of connection, 3 hearts beating in sync, rising and falling to an unseen melody. But as sunlight waned, shadows crept back into Jake's mind. What would happen after the dance? After the cheering and the cupcakes? Would it be enough to support Mia when she needed them most? Suddenly, Mia's laughter faded, her brow furrowed in thought as she paused mid-jump. What if you guys don't have fun anymore? Her small voice cut through the laughter like a knife. Panic coursed through Jake as he knelt down to her eye level, urgency buzzing in his chest. That won't happen, Mia. We'll always have fun. Yes, Dan added quickly. No matter what, you're my best buddy. But Mia's eyes were deeply searching, breaking through their bravado. What if something bad happens? Like you not being my dance partners anymore? Jake's heart sank. She was probing their deepest fears. We're not going anywhere. We're a team. Forever, he promised, though the doubt lingered in his chest. Okay, Mia said, her smile returning, mellowing the frown that had creased her tiny face. But Jake could see the worry still glimmering in her eyes. Then let us practice more. I want to be the best at the party. As if fueled by her determination, they returned to their routine, pushing aside thoughts of uncertainty, barely masking the tremors of doubt. Jake could sense the laughter gliding on the breeze, tickling the leaves, but he also felt the invisible thread that bound their hearts fray just a little more. Just as they resumed dancing, a piercing laughter echoed from a nearby group of older kids. They looked at Mia with disdain, their judgment glinting like shards of glass. Instantly, Jake felt his stomach twist. Would they shield Mia from this? Hey, why don't you dance like a real kid? One of the boys spat out, and Jake froze, anger flaring within him. Mia's twirl faltered, her joyous expression dimming. In that moment, it was more than just a comment. It was a storm that threatened to overshadow their dance. What happens now? He thought, the clouds darkening over their small circle of light. Would they have the strength to protect her happiness, or would fear win in the end? With tightened resolve, Jake took a step forward. Mia, remember, he started, as he faced the older kids, ready to protect her world. But just then, another unexpected sound emerged from Mia. She giggled again, a soft, innocent melody that seemed to pierce through the tension. They can't dance like me. In that moment, a spark ignited within Jake. Maybe Mia's dance wasn't just about joy, it was a testament to resilience. But would they be able to nurture that as challenges loomed ahead? Let us show them how we really dance, shall we? Jake challenged, glancing back at Dan. But as they prepared for what was undoubtedly a defining moment, the haunting echo of the previous challenge weighed on them. Would their strength be enough for what lay ahead? Mia took off again, her laughter ringing through the park like music. It was infectious. Jake and Dan couldn't help but follow her lead. They began to dance, arms swinging, feet shuffling, and soon enough, Jake felt his worries slip away, even if just for a moment. Mia's lightness painted everything in bright colors, drowning the shadows that loomed over their shared fears. Dance like a real kid, huh? Jake muttered, glancing at the group of older boys. He felt a surge of determination bubble inside him. Let us show them how it's done. Yeah, Mia shouted. Let us make it a dance battle. With renewed energy, Jake bolted to Mia's side and struck a pose, daring the other kids to join. To their surprise, the older boys exchanged glances, hesitating. A surprising twinge of respect appeared in their features, wavering against the backdrop of childish competitiveness. Mia, let us do our best moves. Dan shouted, jumping in. I think I'm the coolest dad dancer out here. Mia giggled, appreciating her dad's playful spirit. Me too. Let us show them. Just like that, they launched into a series of silly motion spins, flips, and goofy faces that drew more laughter from the passers-by. Jake felt the warmth of joy spread through the onlookers. Some even started to cheer. And there it was, like a spark lighting up the dark. Fear began to melt away as they showed the world exactly who they were, united, laughing, dancing their hearts out. They had each other's backs, utterly and completely. The older boys watched, ultimately unsure of how to respond. Their jeers turned to snickers, amusement sparking across their faces. Slowly but surely, they joined in, shaking off their previous bravado. What had felt like a threat transformed into the birth of unexpected camaraderie. As they danced, Jake's heart swelled. Look at you, Mia, he shouted. You're the best little dancer. Mia's confidence soared. I love dancing with my daddies. She chimed, spinning around them, her face glowing with sheer happiness. Jake glanced at Dan, their eyes meeting in a moment of shared triumph amidst chaos. They were doing it. They were facing challenges together, building something new, something real. This was a taste of what being a family could look like. After a few more minutes of joyous movement, the impromptu dance-off faded, but the happiness remained. The boys, who once seemed like bullies, now waved goodbye, leaving behind a profound sense of unity as they trotted off with shy smiles. Who knew we'd be on the same team? Dan remarked, breathless. Together, we're unstoppable. Mia exclaimed, her grin overjoyed, eyes bright with promise. Jake chuckled, feeling every ounce of love for her fill his heart. In that moment, something deep shifted within him. He wasn't just fighting for a role, he was creating a life full of joy alongside two people who mattered. In the following weeks leading up to the father-daughter dance, Jake kept his promises. He helped Mia with everything, from picking out the prettiest dress to rehearsing dance steps, planning cupcakes, and even making up silly routines in the living room when rain kept them from the park. Each moment felt precious, concrete building blocks carving a new path forward. Finally, the night of the dance arrived. Vibrant lights twinkled overhead, and a sense of excitement crackled in the air. As they approached the venue, Jake felt the weight of uncertainty creep back, anxiety mixing with anticipation. Would this night be everything Mia hoped? As they entered, the atmosphere buzzed with delight. The decorations were bright, the music was lively, and Mia's eyes sparkled like stars. Jake knelt to her level, brushing a strand of hair from her face, whispering, "No matter what happens, you're amazing. Just remember to have fun." "Yes, Team Dad," she cheered, throwing her arms around him. When the music began, Jake watched as Mia lit up the floor, spinning and twirling, posing for every camera. Dan stood beside him, and they exchanged proud grins. As the song changed, Jake took a deep breath. He offered his hand to Dan. "Let us take a chance." Dan nodded, stepping onto the dance floor beside Jake. They moved together, adding their flair to the mix, surprising Mia with their silly dance moves. Laughter erupted, a collective joy weaving through the crowd. "Look at the dads go," someone called out, and the room filled with cheers, blending into the night's energy. As they danced together, Jake realized something monumental. They were no longer just filling roles. They were becoming a true family, all three of them. The connection was vibrant and alive, threading through uncertainty and challenges. When the song ended, they gathered together, panting but exhilarated. Mia threw her arms around both Jake and Dan. "I love you both," she exclaimed. Jake felt tears welling in his eyes. "We love you too, Mia." Facing each other, Dan nodded. "I want her to have both of us always." Jake smiled, feeling at peace. "Let us navigate this world together. Wherever it leads, we're in it as a team." As the night wore on, music still pulsating, laughter still ringing, they embraced their newfound family. A spark ignited hope for the future, a future where love flourished despite the storms they would inevitably face. With hearts full, they prepared to dance boldly into whatever lay ahead. Together, always. This was the moment they had each been yearning for, the moment that promised to mend the broken pieces and usher in a new chapter of hope, laughter, and unbreakable bonds. And as the music began again, they moved further into the night, their hearts soaring. You need to subscribe now to join us for more heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the love. Comment below your thoughts and feelings after this inspiring conclusion. Don't wait not even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation.